You're listening to a very special podcast, episode 785, May 17th, 2026.
All these puzzles and pieces of memories take me back so far. Remember.
Hello and welcome to a very special podcast. I'm Jesse.
I'm Sue.
I'm Barb.
And this is Frank.
And this week we're going to be talking one more time to folks at AAG conference back in March, this time to the University Consortium of GIS. But first, news. GRASS 8.5.0 is out. I rarely use GRASS.
I was going to say, for all those who just were like, oh yeah, grass.
No, it's used often. Everybody who uses QGIS regularly uses GRASS.
Well, I'm saying for all those who,
don't.
Yeah, they're all like, oh yeah, grass.
I mean, it's had some major upgrades, including just a whole branding overhaul, new name, new logo, lots of new functionality.
I mean, it's still GRASS, so what's the new name?
Grass. Instead of Grass GIS, it's now officially
yeah.
Grass.
Okay.
It shed excess weight.
With a logo of a little stalk of grass.
Because geospatial is more than GIS.
I understand that, but it's just, I've always just called it GRASS.
I mean, even when you use, I haven't used QGIS in a couple of years again, admittedly, because it irritates me. But do you actually even use, are you cognitive that you're using GRASS or using QGIS? Because I feel like I just hit things, and if it was going and using some other library.
GRASS drop down.
Okay, there you go.
He says, and now is wondering because he hasn't looked at GRASS.
I don't remember. Again, I did it because of licensing problems we had with Esri, with our state. That was really the only reason.
It should not be everyone else's only reason. It's Frank's only reason.
Yep.
Everyone else should use GRASS occasionally.
Touch GRASS.
Especially since, there are tools in there that are useful and sometimes easier to use than other options. So
Yeah, and now they have new documentation to help make it easier to know about the tools and some added JSON outputs. So the 2026 Canadian Census is going to be happening, and they have done a whole campaign to increase people's involvement, including creating a 2026 census soundtrack that they feel defines Canada as a country. And I thought this was just, another great way. Everyone's always trying to get people involved with their census. The Australian census is coming up, and I see their activities going on. So I thought this is a good way to get the word out and get people to their site to learn more about the census and census data.
And it's a soundtrack for while you're actually completing it.
Yeah.
If you are Canadian.
So a minor note I want to make on the U.S. Census is boundary acquisition system. Is that the SS BAS updates are due nowish or just slightly past due. So if you're in the U.S. and you have some influence or input into this getting into the U.S. Census, the boundary changes, do it like now, because it will impact how the census draws its lines in 2030. It's a huge, huge deal. And in many states, unfortunately, the person who gets notified, or I should say localities, not just a state problem, who gets notified that this needs to happen, doesn't necessarily know anything about what they're looking at. Sometimes it's a mayor or somebody like that. So reach out and do that now. And
like Frank is saying, it's too late. But do it anyway. Maybe they'll be prepared for 2036.
Well, they do take updates at the last minute. So
yeah, which basically everything gets locked in next year. Because they're training in 2029. They're putting the tools together beginning next year. And so, that 2028, everything's just a mad rush to get 2029 ready. And then 2030 is just a lost cause for anything other than data collection.
I'll say that I feel that in the United States, this is a data layer that is so critical that so many people underestimate how critical it is. They just don't pay attention. And then sometimes I don't even know to pay attention, but you can really affect the outcome of both the census, but in particular, what your census data looks like moving forward for a long time. And some of these acquisitions and boundary adjustments are just, they never go beyond the population of the locality, and they don't bubble up, and they need to bubble up. We need to take a nationwide look at that to make sure that it's being done well.
So my dad's involved in a community organization, and at a higher level of the community organization, that gets money and things like that from the local, gave them data. And he's like, yeah, they sent people out and did these surveys. I looked at it, I'm like, this is all data from the census. So they charged you for something they hit a button and generated. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Census, no matter what country you're in, we want to know how many people are on the world. And if you want to know world population, is it populationpyramid.net? Yeah, that's always a fun one. Of course, it's all statistical. Don't believe it for a second, but hey, it gives you something to look at, and it's fun to play around with. Populationpyramid.net.
Can I just say that, just a tangent on that, on the statistical, I did a map for somebody at work about healthcare, because it's a healthcare management program, and they're trying to recruit for graduate degrees online. And we did in our region, and I looked at the American Community Surveys for like education level attainment, and we'd end up with these zones that were like, okay, we have approximately 150 people in this census block that have a bachelor's degree plus or minus 80. It's like, okay. I mean, I understand the statistical inference and stuff like that, and it's the best data we have available, but it's very hard for me to report those error margins on my map without anyone going, oh, come on.
Without you laughing.
Yeah, it's just like, I told the guy I did it for, I said, don't ask me how much this is wrong.
VertiGIS is acquiring OneSpatial, and we've of course talked about OneSpatial many times over the years, generally in the context of their object-oriented approaches. Basically, I think our first use of Gothic and lamps, it goes back to 1998 or so, where we used it like one or two times before the license we had at the university expired. But yeah, back then it was object-oriented GIS. Since then, they have kind of refocused a lot of their efforts onto data massaging, I would call it. Cleaning would probably be what they would refer to it as. But yeah,
enhancement.
Yeah. And so they, who I would have thought would be acquiring other people, are being acquired by VertiGIS. In fact, they did acquire others in the past that we've talked about, but yeah, now they're being acquired.
And this is part of VertiGIS's expansion from North America and Australia into the UK, France, and the Benelux regions. And that is Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And they work a lot with, how people do infrastructure and manage infrastructure, which is growing and needed worldwide.
One thing that has always amazed me in the 20 years or so that we've been doing this podcast, that the acquisitions and sales of divisions and companies and things like that, just in this relatively small space, no pun intended, it just astounds me. It always amazes me how much it happens.
Yeah, and OneSpatial's doing something that I think we're going to see a lot of people saying as a selling point, which is, like you said, cleaning up that data for AI consumption, so that can easily be integrated into an AI system.
And the last news item does in fact touch on AI, and isn't necessarily news, more of a perspective, I guess, but also an announcement of what's coming in the future. So FME, who of course has been there for data translation and transition since we've been in GIS and well before, is in their FME Flow application integrating more MCP capability, or integrating MCP capabilities. And the blog post that we link to in the show notes is one of the Dons talking about, this idea of where a lot of software sits right now, and that transition of, kind of a standalone, in their case, visual workflow for a long time, to how does that fit within the agentic space, and how they're going to move that forward for FME.
Well, as they point out, everybody's kind of asking this question, I think, that works with any kind of software developing, right? Is because people are shifting to the notion that I'm going to ask the AI, and that's kind of how their first stop is, as opposed to going to the software first. And so the thought here, and the FME people, their thought is FME then needs to be the thing that helps the AI agent get the correct answer from the prompting, and rather than just manually doing everything. And our discussion last time about MCP and modeling software, right? I think these are similar questions. And I've only begun to dip this is my own kind of experience so far. I've only begun to dip my toe into this water. And I think for me, it's not a smooth transition. I find that either the way I prompt or the way I work with the AI makes it very difficult for it to give me what I want, even with the connectors. So I think it's an evolving space, but it seems like increasingly that's what more people want to do. They want to go to that tool of AI first.
I've been doing AI coding for a while now, for a couple of years, I guess. And what I find interesting about it is that it works best when I code verbally. It works worst when I just tell it what I want. Often, and this is the prompt engineering piece of it, really, when you get down to it, but oftentimes constructing the correct prompt to get the results that I need for anything more than a very simplistic, I need to take all these fields and combine them and separate it out by this and then sort it, that kind of simplistic stuff you can do. But anything beyond that, I have to talk to it algorithmically, which means I have to think about it algorithmically. And if I do that, I get pretty good results without having to actually do the coding. If I don't do that, I get stuff that it gets stuck itself into errors and problems. And I go, oh, this didn't work. This is an error. And it goes, oh, yeah, you're right. That is an error. Here's how you fix it. And then it fixes it and it creates other bugs. And then you go, okay, but you created this problem. And you go, oh, yeah, I know how to fix that. And it fixes it. And then the first one crops up again. And you just end up in this bug squashing conversation that's frustrating. But whenever I talk to it algorithmically, it works okay. I kind of feel like the tools like FME, that's one of their benefits. When you're talking about like workflow stuff, you're really thinking algorithmically. And I feel like, I know for a fact, a lot of coding houses are expressing a frustration, for lack of a better word, or concern, maybe that's a better word, concern about junior developers not getting, the hours in the tool shed, just going at it and developing that the way they need to. So I think there's still a place for this. And I think that this landscape is changing so fast that I don't know we can confidently assert that, well, this is the future where this tool should live within the ecosystem given AI, because it's breaking out in so many weird ways so quickly.
That's it for those.
All these puzzles and pieces of memories take me back so far.
And onto the web corner, Historica is a interactive historical map. It's a dashboard that has a dynamic timeline, and you can explore changing borders and civilizations. It's a pretty cool tool, and I have been looking at it and exploring it, and it's just dense. So I can say I love the format and the timeline. I've always liked when you can use a timeline, but I'm still going through the history and matching up to see what's included in it, although it feels like everything in the kitchen sink in terms of history is included in the timelines.
Yeah, one challenge with this tool is set aside some time, because you're going to play with it a bit once you figure out how it works. And it's a lot of fun to kind of look back, particularly when you look back to an era that's well before your kind of conscious thinking or what it may be. I'm just looking at the map of Europe, and I'm going back, by decade, and just looking how those borders have changed and that sort of thing. It's kind of fun, particularly when you hit like the 19th century and a lot of change happening there.
All these puzzles and pieces of memories take me back so far. Remember,
I'm happy to be joined by Amy Rock, who is the executive director of the UCGIS, the University Consortium of Geographic Information Science. Just to make sure everybody understands, it's not systems, it's science.
It is the science, which
As
includes the systems. Absolutely.
But thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
What is the UCGIS? Because it's probably been 10 years since we've actually done an interview with anybody from UCGIS.
Really?
So
well,
a
that's far
reminder.
too long. That's far too long. So UCGIS is a consortium by its name, a group of about 65 universities across the country. We do have a couple of international affiliates as well. And we support teaching and research in geographic information science. And so we do that in a lot of different ways. We have webinars throughout the academic year. We have summer schools for graduate students. We have our annual symposium, which is coming up in June. We partner with universities on grants. Sometimes they need a nonprofit partner, and we are that nonprofit partner, which works well. We also are coordinated with advocacy efforts and COGO, the Coalition of Geospatial Organizations, to kind of keep tabs on what's happening with policy that impacts the industry and the discipline and higher education. So lots of different things that we help connect those universities to, and also help connect people to the universities. So we have some industry affiliate partners, some government affiliate partners that want, for various reasons, to be connected to the academic community, and we kind of facilitate those conversations.
Now, of course, this summer you have the next event coming up. Can you talk a little bit about the theme and who you have speaking at this summer's event?
Sure. Yeah. So the theme this year is AI everywhere because, well, it is, right? And so, we're talking specifically about GeoAI and less broadly about AI in other contexts, but we will have a little bit of conversation about that. But we do have we have a plenary panel that's focused on GeoAI and education. We have an industry speaker who will be joining us. And I apologize, I don't have those names right off the top of my head because I'm a terrible human being. But
you're a human being. I think that's the more important part.
We have an industry speaker. We have an education speaker. So each of our plenaries will have an industry day. So the first day is kind of industry focused, and we'll have that speaker, and then followed by an industry panel, which will have representatives from a number of different larger geospatial industry firms coming to talk about kind of what their expectations are of people coming out of universities and coming to work in the industry, and also what they're hoping to see as far as research partnerships, what they're seeing as far as trends, so that we as educators can kind of stay on track and make sure that we are teaching the right stuff and preparing our students appropriately and partnering on research efforts and things like that. One of the things that we know, and we have known for years, is that industry is able to move far more quickly than higher education is able to move in terms of pivoting to new topics. And so that relationship helps keep us current. It keeps them in touch with sort of a pipeline for up and coming scholars in the discipline, right? There's some really, really fantastically brilliant people coming out of programs these days. A little bit intimidating sometimes when you think about what they're doing already, and they haven't even graduated yet. So that's kind of the focus. The first day is kind of the more industry focus. The second day is a little bit more panel focused. I guess we have a humans and GeoAI panel coming on the second day, in addition to the more academically focused plenary in that morning. We have a student paper competition. We have a student poster competition. Those will be happening on the first 2 days as well. And then Thursday is kind of education day. So we'll have our education focused panel, and then some other sessions that are a little bit more geared for the higher education end of what we support. So like I said, it's research and education, but also advocacy, and then sort of building this community, right? Especially in these times, we all kind of have to support each other, lift each other up, talk about what's happening at our various institutions and so forth.
Now, one of the things, of course, that the UCGIS has done to help all of us was to create the body of knowledge, and of course, the update to the body of knowledge. And with the things changing as they are now, is there talk about new updates to the body of knowledge to incorporate some of the things that are going on, or are they already there and I just haven't noticed them yet?
So the body of knowledge is a living creature.
Yeah.
It's getting updated all the time. We do updates. I mean, all the time, not every 5 minutes, but roughly quarterly, there are new articles coming in. Some of those are brand new topics. Some of those are updates to topics that have been in the body of knowledge for a number of years, and it's time to, bring them a little more current. So it's a continually ongoing process. We've recently updated to a new interface. So if you haven't been there in a while, you should visit. It's got a new interface. There's going to be some additional tools that are coming with this new interface. There'll be the ability to, for example, drop a job description in there and kind of see what topics it connects to, or drop in your CV and sort of see what job descriptions might connect with that. And some of those things will be sort of member-only things, but the body of knowledge itself is always open and available to anyone. It's a great tool for education. It's a great tool for doing lib reviews, for research, those kinds of things. It's a really good place to get foundational information, but also some cutting-edge stuff because, as I said, new things are coming all the time.
So clearly, I am behind the times.
Clearly, yes.
Shame on me.
As we mentioned earlier, there is the internet, and it is available.
Is there anything else you'd like to highlight that UCGIS is doing?
Well, I think, we try to do whatever it is that best supports our members. And so it's not a static situation, right? We are constantly trying to stay in touch with what's happening right now. Now, like you said, so many things happening in the political sphere around the various geospatial organizations, the policies that impact us geospatially. And so we've been engaged through our partnership in COGO, we've been engaged with some of those things and trying to support that stuff. We also have a partnership with GISI, which is the accrediting body for the GIS professional certification. And so we're building a syllabus repository that helps inform their exam, but is also a fantastic resource for all of us educators to see, hey, what does Intro to GIS look like at this university versus my Intro to GIS course, et cetera. So, yeah. So we're doing lots of different stuff all the time. It's just kind of, we try to be responsive to the needs of our members.
And where on the internet should people go to find more information about UCGIS?
UCGIS.org.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All these puzzles and pieces of memories take me back so
On the Events Corner, as always, we encourage you to check out these events and others in your neighborhood.
The Global Public Health and Epidemiology Congress is happening the 21st through 23rd of September in London and online.
The 17th Conference on Spatial Information Theory, the COSIC Conference, will be taking place the 22nd through the 25th of September in York in the UK.
Of course, if you'd like us to add your event to the podcast, send us an email to podcast@veryspatial.com.
If you'd like to reach us individually, I can be reached at sue@veryspatial.com.
I can be reached at barb@veryspatial.com.
You can reach me at frank@veryspatial.com.
I'm available at Jesse@veryspatial. And of course, you can find all of our contact information over at veryspatial.com/contacts.
As always,
We're the folks from VerySpatial.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
all these puzzles and pieces of memories take me back so far. Remember when you and me were racing down the boulevard, hoping that we'd get too far ahead. I remember when we hid with cigarettes and matches, then we'd all fall asleep on couches. I get caught up in the middle of a false start. Those days were yours, those days were ours. I wish I could stay for a while, go back and rewalk every mile, but time has another plan in mind. All those good days gone, our memories set with the sun, and getting older is a feeling I hate. So I guess I might as well stay young. I could still hear my name being called by my mother, running down the stairs, just me and my brothers. I could hear my father's voice on the telephone. Son, I'm on my way back home. I liked it when you would just stay for a while, go back and rewalk every mile, but time has another plan in mind. All those good days gone, memories set with the sun, and getting older is a feeling I hate. I guess we might as well stay young.